ಅದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರೀಮ್ ನೋಡಿ.
ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಸತಿ ಮಾಡಿ. ಅದಿದ್ದು ಆಪ್ಟಿಮೈಸ್ ಇದು ತೆಗೀರಿ ಅಂತ. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
All right. So we'll start. Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Muthu Kumar, and I'll be hosting the show for today. So let's firstly start the session. Okay, so may I request all of you to kindly sit in a place where you are undisturbed, and may I request all of you to mute your phones so that we will have an undisturbed time. And possibly if you can ask all the questions at the end of the session, the flow goes in and all will be able to connect. Otherwise, unless we have our speaker wanted our participants to ask the question then and there, it's absolutely otherwise at the end of the session is what we would prefer. So today's agenda is that firstly we will have the welcome and introduction. Then we will have the journey so far for Disciples India Group and Disciples India Learning Forum, and we will have guest speakers introduction, and the session will go on. So that's how the session is. And what is the vision of our organization? To excel as a focused and fulfilling learning destination for new age growth aspirants. And our mission is we will be a practice-based professional training and consulting platform through novel and relevant process of transformation to individuals and organizations. Time. Yeah. All right. And the core values is that honesty, hard work, healthy, honor, and happiness. Disciples India Group is happy to present a platform purely for the joy of learning. What are its objectives? Its objective is to provide the platform to share, exchange ideas and experiences, to create, develop personal and professional network of learners, to enhance effective communications and leadership skills, to foster learning and contribute for personal and professional organizational development, to update with life management skills and contribute as an effective member to the community. So So Disciples India Learning Forum organizing committee members are Dr. A.M. Suresh, the advisor, then Dr. Sandhya, the president, and Mr. Parthos, the secretary, Mr. the vice president, and Mr. Shiv Prasad, the treasurer, and Mr. Akhilesh, the executive member. Disciples India Learning Forum sessions, we did about 24 sessions in 2018. In 2019, we did about 25 sessions, and 24 sessions, and 21 8 sessions. So far, we did about 97 sessions in last 4 years. And the topic for today is the career and leadership development. We are doing this in association with Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology. The speaker for today is Ms. Deepa Parthasarthi. So may I request Dr. Lokesh to speak about the college and do the guest introduction, please. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. This is Dr. Lokesh, Associate Professor, Department of MBA, Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology. I hope my voice is audible.
Pretty much very clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So today, it's my great pleasure to introduce Ms. Deepa Parthasarthi to the session. So, her heartily welcome to our guest speaker, Deepa Parthasarthi, Director, Technology at Target. So about the speaker, Deepa comes with over 20 years of experience in directing multiple facets of IT, services, and product development. She leads global IT collaboration, high-tech and IT site services for Target. Prior to that, has worked with Epsol leading digital experience portfolio and spent 14 years with Cisco with their infrastructure and customer experience organization. Deepa graduated from RV College of Engineering with an undergraduate in instrumentation and electronics engineering and has a business degree from Canada. Madam, I welcome you to the session. It's my pleasure. So which has been associated with Disciples India Learning Forum in association with our college, that is Nagarjuna College of Engineering and Technology and Department of MBA. I welcome you to the session, madam. So our college has started in the year 2001. Our college started in the year 2001 and got an autonomous status in 2015. So we have that is UG and PG. Under UG, we are running with electronics and communication, computer science, information science, then civil engineering. Then coming to master degree programs, that is MTech and MBA. In that, we have civil engineering, MTech, then masters in business administration, and we have the specialization like human resource management, marketing management, financial management, and supply chain management. So now the session is handed over to Ms. Deepa Parthasarthi. Ma'am, now the session is yours, madam.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a quick and a nice introduction. So I will get started. What I would really like, if it's comfortable for everybody, is to see if you can turn on your camera. So that way I will know I am speaking to people and not just names that I see here. But whenever you feel comfortable, please feel free to turn on the camera. Yamini, I see your hand raised. Did you have a question before we get started for anybody here? Okay, I would assume that's probably a mistake. Okay, so Yamini, do you know how to get your hands down? Okay, probably somebody can help her. Okay, so once again, thank you for, the nice welcome. And for today, over the next 45 minutes or so, let's clear some air, right? I am neither a role model nor any sort of an elite personality. I'm convinced that I'm here today because I have some stories to share with all of you that might be of interest to you. So it would be very nice to keep the session interactive. So what I mean by interactive is while I go through my story, my career journey, you can post any questions that you have. And in the next 10 minutes or so, when I'm done, I would like for those of you with any questions to come ahead and ask your questions, and I would be happy to respond to any of those. Okay, cool. So one of the things that I fundamentally believe is that life is a series of sprints till you find a purpose for a marathon. So what I'm going to do is I will share some of the learnings from those very sprints in my life, the lessons that I learned from all of those that I won, and the ones that I barely managed to finish. Now, ultimately, the question is, did I find my marathon? And what we will do is I will let it unfold later. So about 25 years back, I married into Canada soon after my undergrad in RBC. And the journey from pleasant Bangalore to Canada was very interesting in every way. So it was about minus 25, minus 30 degrees outside my house. Any English dictionary will tell you this is the definition of cold. But even that minus 30 degrees was still warm because there was nothing colder than being lonely in an environment filled with unknown entities. So what were my traits then, right? An inexperienced, non-white Asian woman, an engineering background. In my early 20s, I spoke fluent English. These were all absolutely great qualifications to not be welcomed into Canadian workforce. Now, however, I was determined to navigate through this. So I had to find a way to socialize and market my abilities, which were all right then on paper because I had absolutely no work experience. So all that I did each morning was I wore my best dress, I left home, and I started hunting for a job. Now, most people then would have mistaken me for a door-to-door salesman, and I could care less, right? It was my need to find a job, and I kept at it. These were the days before, emails were very prevalent in the market. Internet was just coming up. So all that I had was, papers and papers in my hand with my resume, and I would walk into every office in Canada looking for a job. So finally, this effort did pay off. I ended up meeting one of the directors in Citibank in an elevator, and that's how I landed my first interview. So you all may have heard about elevator pitch. So it was my elevator pitch to market myself within an elevator, literally, and coincidentally too. So I just went and asked everybody that I met that, for my first job, right? So essentially I had nothing to lose. So most of the people, this was one of my first career lessons, right? Most people lose battle in their mind even before the battle starts. Fear and inhibitions are the two biggest curse of corporate world. So the minute you get over these two, you have won a good chunk of the battle as you navigate through a corporate life. Now, a few years in the industry, I enrolled into business school. Wilfrid Laurier University is a very renowned university in Canada for business management. Now, while I was in the university, the fateful 9/11 incident happened. That day, I was scheduled to attend a job interview in Manhattan. As I stood there for my interview, I saw the Twin Towers coming down. I saw people jumping out of the building because the heat was so much. This was a life-altering experience for me. Even as I think about it today, it sends shivers in my body. And the last thing that came to my mind that day was not the job interview that I was for, or the career ahead of me, or my future. All that I could think about is my family, my friends who were working in those Twin Towers. This gave me an insight to one of the awareness that life is lived once. It's not a dress rehearsal. Relationships are important, even more important than any career. Now, this incident alone has a huge bearing of what I am today. To continue, I finished my business degree with flying colors. I got a best pay package, great perks, a car, the gas, the whole 9 yards. However, my first assignment was a shock. My job was to get rid or fire 50 middle-aged men and replace them with a software that could automate the manual work of meter reading all over Southwestern Ontario. And this was for a company called Union Gas. Now, I wasn't aware of what my job really entitled till I walked into that office. There were like 100 angry faces of middle-aged men, right? Each weighing about 160 pounds. These men ran for about, 5-6 hours a day, reading meters, and they were really, really strong. And once I got to know about what was really happening there, I knew it would just take 2 men to crush me, throw me in those mountains and piles of snow, and I may never get home that evening. I was really no match to them. And that day, I was scared. However, this is a job I had taken up. There was no running away from it. I wanted to be true to my job, but I also had to be true to my conscience. At this time, I did not have to be liked. I just had to make a difference. So what I did next was I called every county college and I found out courses that they offered. I negotiated with the gas company to pay the tuition for these readers to get reskilled before they were let go. Now, in the next several weeks, these men turned around and they partnered with me. At the end of this, I believe that we all came out very successful. I beamed with a big smile. I put my papers down. I walked out to start a new beginning, right? So I had brought in all of those technology that was relevant to Union Gas at the time into the company. I had made sure that almost all of these men were reskilled, and I walked out of this company. Now, some of the key takeaways from this entire experience for me was not to confuse between competency and interest. Now, 99% of us do not understand the difference and choose a wrong job. Now, this job taught me everything that business school and MBA degree failed to teach me. Now, this job also altered my definition of fear from forget everything and run to face everything and rise. After this, I started a practice in consulting in mergers and acquisition integration management. And that's when my daughter was born. I had a very amazing practice, but I also at that time wanted to be a career mother. So I decided to move back to India to tap into support of my family. And this was going to be a setback in my career, at least temporarily, but it was a call that I was, I had made, and I was willing to go ahead with it. Now, soon after I moved to India, Cisco happened. I was responsible to set up and manage their IT infrastructure organization. Now, surprisingly, at that time, there were no women engineers in infrastructure space in India, let alone women leaders there. Now, infrastructure is a combination of technology, attention to detail, process, patience, out-of-the-box thinking. And women would fit in so beautifully well here, right? So I decided to take on the mission to bring gender diversity into the team. So with my North American experience, my Indian background, I was looked up as culturally sensitive, and getting my leadership on board for this plan was not difficult at all. So I brought in the first batch of girls from final year engineering from RBC, a college. So anyway, as a team, we delivered far beyond what was expected from the corporate. It was a deadly combination of need and delight, and it made me successful. And what really made me successful here was my awareness and the ability to take a chance and go ahead with something that wasn't ever done before. Now, this was also a time when my daughter was about 4 or 5 years old, and I did not want to leverage gadgets as unpaid babysitters in my absence. So it was a time for me to relook and focus on the priorities in my life. I decided I will step down from a management role to the role of an individual contributor. So this gave me time to develop and increase my technical competence and also spend more time at home. And this was also a time where I built a lot of my network, because individuals' network is really their net worth, right? People you know in the industry, who you can connect with, and how you can tap onto people. I focused on building cross-functional relationships. My next few roles in Cisco were the result of these people connections that I made. On a lighter note, people started calling me Queen of Networking in a company which is all to do with networking. And then on, I was given responsibility for setting up smart cities. So if you've heard about smart cities, all over the world, countries are reclaiming land from ocean, and they're developing, cities out of it, right? Cities that are really intelligent. So, however, for Cisco, it was not a viable project. I had to let go and make a hard decision to shut down the competency center that I started. Now, I had to make sure that I was not mixing my emotions and business. I had kicked off, a net new organization within Cisco. Now it was time for me to shut it down. This was the finest awareness that I got, right? However, contrary to my belief, my company did not see this as a failure, right? So I guess that's what makes some companies really great, right? I was rewarded with possibly one of the most coveted responsibilities, and that was to manage Cisco.com website, a huge brand for Cisco, and a platform that supported $46 billion business for Cisco. So several times during my 15-year stay at Cisco, I got multiple offers from industry to join them. Now, a few years back, I decided to take it up, and I left Cisco. Right now, I am working with a company called Target. It's a $100 billion retail company, one of the biggest competitors for Amazon and Walmart. So now I lead their global infrastructure operations, collaboration suite of products, future of work initiatives, and I touch about 350,000 employees across Target with the technologies that I bring to the table. So what I also believe is in progressive disengagement and development of leadership pipeline. So my focus, has always been to develop my team, develop human capital and leadership. It's always imperative to inspire people through their emotional intelligence and passion. So over the years, this has given me more time to get involved in activities that I believe are truly game-changing in the society. One of the reports from Tech Mahindra that shocked me was it said that about 87% of graduates today are unemployable. So what I have been doing since then is driving development of Internet of Things, Center of Excellence at RBCE. And I've also been involved in several initiatives that bridges gap between campus and corporate. I get involved in development of course materials, skills that makes students employable. And hopefully by 2030, we would see about 50 million students across India, who have taken advantage of the initiatives that are targeted towards bridging the gap between campus and corporate. So in addition to this, I have launched initiatives in Cisco, Epsilon, Target to help relaunch women who have taken a break in career back into workforce. So in short, right, finally, did I find my marathon? I sincerely believe I did. Now I have another 20 years, long run in this industry, and I only can hope that I have a few more marathons to run during this time. Now, each one of us has a leader within us. It's just that for some of us, the visiting cards are yet to be printed. And the minute they are printed, we can take delivery of it. What I also believe is that we don't have to be extraordinary individuals to achieve extraordinary results. All that we have to do is keep at it. Now, I'm assuming each one of you has resonated at least with one story, if not more. The reason I call these stories is because they are stories, right? There was no formal presentation I was making. I was just talking to you about what I have done and how I have navigated my career over the years. What I will do now is take a break and see if you guys have any questions about anything as it relates to, how you start your career journey, or, how to navigate through things, as you make a leap into your corporate lives, or anything else that you think is relevant for you to know.
I don't see any questions coming up. Maybe they are really inspired with your story and they are just engrossed into it. So maybe they will have the questions at the end.
This is the end, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I can go on, but what I would really like is to see if I can take some questions.
Okay. So any of you have got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Maybe if you want, you can keep your video on and then you can start your questions to our dear guest. Anybody has got questions, please do ask directly to Deepa Parthasarathy. Or you can also put up in a chat box so that, we can read out the questions to her and she will be able to answer. Let me quickly check if there are any in YouTube. Any questions in YouTube viewers? Okay, probably I can ask a question. All right. The question is that where is the gap? Do you think the government should participate in, coming up and making people or maybe the education system more employable? Or do you think we don't have necessary ecosystem? What do you think? Where is the gap? What do you think we should be doing?
Well, it's not just the job of the government. So it really needs to be, a tri-party agreement, right? Or relationship between the colleges, the government, as well as corporates, right? We all have a responsibility in making sure that we provide, curriculum that's based on what is really needed in the industry. Right. I would also believe that, a lot of co-op programs can be brought in, a lot of internship can be brought in, a lot of work-based learning can be brought in versus, theoretical learning in both tech as well as, in non-tech areas, right? So skill-based learning, I think, is really the way to go. And I do see that, it is changing, but much slower than the population that we have. Last time I checked, there were about 100 odd engineering colleges alone in and around Bangalore city. Right. So, and you would say, oh my God, right? How many people are coming out? But in reality, how many of them coming out are really big employable? Right. 2 years back, there were 28,000 engineering seats that were left out in Karnataka without being filled. Right. These are all statistics that should tell us that there is definitely something that needs to be done here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you, according to you, what is the more important skill? Soft skills, domain skills, deliverable skills, delivery skills?
Everything.
Okay.
So now, for you to make it into the industry, what's really important is how you're able to demonstrate whatever you put on your resume that day. Right? That is essentially, your technical skills. When I say technical skills, whatever that goes in your profile that day. But what really helps you succeed is your soft skills. Once you're in the company, right? Your technical skills are table stakes at that time, right? But what really helps you, move forward is how you're able to build the relationship and connect with people, right? We are not in commodity business, right? It's a business of people in this industry. So you really need to know how to manage and navigate this relationship, which is way more important. Somebody once said that, being a nice person is what is more important. And there is a lot of scope for us to learn there. And I think, I believe all of our colleges can do a better job in inculcating, those skills as well in our, in our students.
Right. There are a couple of questions. Thank you for answering that. There are a couple of questions come in chat box. That is, what are the major requirement of a corporate world? I think
everything, Navya, that I've spoken about are requirements of the corporate world, right? One is no fear, no inhibition, right? The other thing is, how do you work as a team and collaborate, right? I guess the minute you walk out of your college, you realize that it is not an individual sport, right? It is a team sport. That means to say that you need to be one of the team players, right? Take up any sport for that matter, so you will have to know when is it that you need to lead, when you need to be in defense, when you need to be in, as an offense, is that the right word in sports? No, but I'm assuming it is. So that you really have to dawn on those, right? So these are very, very important. Like I said, the whatever skills are required for you to do your job are table stakes. You cannot goof up there. Right? But what's really important is once you enter corporate world, you need to be aware that you will have to keep learning. You will have to keep exploring. You will have to be, fearless to take some risks. You should be comfortable failing. You should be comfortable raising. You will do mistakes. If you didn't do mistakes, you would not going to be learning anything new, right? So all of that. And by the way, unlike a myth that's created that corporate world is scary, corporate world is extremely understanding, right? Your scary days are over in your college. What's really, really important is, how you dive into the corporate world and navigate into a beautiful, beautiful journey which takes people along.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure, Navya.
Yeah, there's one more question from Lakshmi. She says, I come from a village side, how to be confident and be strong in corporate world?
If you're from village, then you're already confident, girl. So Lakshmi, I really don't believe there is, the place that you come from has anything to do with being confident or not, right? So, some of the best people I have worked with, are from small towns. Some of the best people I've worked with, come from an underprivileged background. Right? Once you enter into that industry, none of these really matters. Right? But the confidence is something that you build. A few of the traits that I would say is, what's very important for anybody to grow in your career would be to find mentors, would be to find good mentors who can help you navigate this journey. And find more than one mentor if you have to, but find somebody who can, who can help you, who can guide you, who can coach you, right? That becomes very important. Having that ecosystem of people who you can lean into becomes very important. By the way, as I'm looking at this, group of people, one recommendation I have is there is a very, very, very small book that has inspired me all through my life, right? It's called Who Moved My Cheese? It's a tiny book. I think it's one of the best books that has ever been written. I mean, you will find hundreds and thousands of leadership books and, how to navigate and whatnot. But this is a tiny book, one of the most amazing books that has ever been written. And it will tell you about why it is so important for us to reinvent ourselves over and over again, right? Confidence just comes, Lakshmi, and the only thing that's important is to be at it, right? And my story, like I said, when I moved to Canada, absolutely nothing, barely nothing. In India, you have ecosystem of people you can talk to, right? Here, I knew nobody except the man I was married to, right? But they say necessity is mother of all innovations, all devils. So it was very important for me to get out of the house. It was very important for me to get a job, not because I wanted to. I ever thought that I would be a career person, but the very thought of staying at home all through the winter by myself was even more scarier. So I just had to get out. So take the leap of faith, take the first step, and everything else follows it.
Right.
Okay.
I read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? That's a brilliant book. I totally agree with what you said. It's a strongly recommended book.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So the next question is, what are some of the skills that we could think we should improve in us?
Now, okay, so that's a very, very broad question. So, Rosie, what I would recommend is for you to go through an exercise for yourself and see what is it that you're good at, right? What are your strengths? And what are your areas of opportunity? What are your areas of development, right? You look at it, right? Even if you have to segregate it into sections, saying, soft skills and hard skills, right? Technical, non-technical. I mean, whatever, and I'm assuming we are talking, with respect to your getting into, a workforce, right? So think about soft skills and hard skills. What is it that you're good at? What are the ones that, that you will want to develop? You cannot target 10 skills at a time. Definitely soft skills. Impossible, right? So you will have to build one on top of the other, right? Look at it, then get some help that can help you, navigate in terms of, or even build those skills, right? Know what is important for the job that you are planning on going to. Not all skills are required for all jobs on day one, right? So look at those critical skills and build on it. It's a very, very broad question. What skills do you think we can improve is very broad. It depends from a person to person, but please go through the exercise of understanding what is it that you are good at and what is it that you want to be good at, right? There are people who talk about strengths and weaknesses. And people say that, hey, focus on your weakness. I am one of those who believes that you should continue to focus on your strength, right? You figure out a way to overcome your weakness so that it doesn't pull you down, but continue to invest on your strength because that is what will push you forward, right? So continue to develop your strength, continue to overcome your weakness, but please go through the exercise of figuring out what are those areas of opportunities for you and what are those that you consider your strength.
Right.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Yeah. So the next question is that I'm good in communication, like, presentations and things like that, but lack aptitude skills. What kind of a profile suits me in the corporate world?
Okay, so I wish I knew how to interpret this question, but Smita, do you want to give me an example of what you mean by this?
Smita, are you there?
Smita, you told you're very good at communication skills. So let's hear you speak, huh? Okay, while Smita is figuring out, can we go to the next question? But I will come back to this.
Yes. The next question is, what are the ways to improve human understanding skills? Is human understanding skill related to career development? Acceleration Academy asked this question.
What are the ways to improve human understanding skills? Okay, so your corporate life is no different from your personal life if you look at it, right? How do you develop relationship with your family members, your parents, your siblings, whatever that is, right? So very, very simple. With them, you can demonstrate to them that you're vulnerable without any fear, right? And these days, corporates are exactly like that, right? You can bring yourself to work exactly the way you are. Now, what I really mean by that is, if you're a person who is really, you have a temper and you throw it at work, that's not going to fly well, right? But what it really means to say is you can bring your emotional side to work. You don't have to be a very different individual at work, right? Being authentic is very, very important, even in corporate life. Right? And because there is really no time for drama and fakeness, in any part of the industry today, because the industry is moving really fast. And we are all moving into the hybrid mode of working, right? Very, very quickly. And this is a very different paradigm than where we were, several years back, right? So therefore, I think it's important to just be that person you would be, with a friend or another family member. See, we all spend good 8-10 hours in our days, working with our peers. Right, you are, waking hours, right? A good part of my sensible day I spend with people at work. How can I not believe that they are extension of my family? Because this is where I spend most of my time. The minute you believe that, they are one among you, they are like an extension to your family, I think, you will start treating and behaving with them exactly the way that you would behave with another friend. Right. One of the things that corporates are doing now is, shattering the barriers of, what the hierarchy, right? Everybody is equal. The only thing we look at is we all have a different role to play, right? So, therefore, treat everybody with respect. Know that everybody does not know everything. Know that you do not know everything. Know how to leverage, people around you to support you, to help you accomplish something, right? Asking for help is not considered a weakness. At the same time, you got to be able to do it. There is a fundamental, there's something called as deposit and withdrawal, right? These are banking terms. So this applies in corporate life as well. What do you deposit? You deposit goodwill with people, right? You deposit a nature which is helping, right? You go out of the way to help somebody. So these are all deposits, right? Withdrawal is, seeking that, from others. Now, what happens in a bank, right? If you have no deposit and you go to bank to make a withdrawal, what is it called? Right? That means to say that if you have not deposited goodwill with people, people have not seen a nicer version of you, but you expect others to treat you, extremely nice, that doesn't work, right? So therefore, when you go in, always go in with an approach wherein you are willing to, give that lending hand. You are willing to help people, and everything else falls in place. So I hope I've responded to that question. Is it important in career development? Absolutely. More important than anything else. You just got to be a nice human being, in and out of corporate. Equally important for you to grow in corporate. Right? People respond to people, and that's critical here as well.
Amazing input, Deepa. That was really, really amazing. I can see all your corporate experience coming out here, and I'm sure all the people here as an audience today will be able to benefit a lot because you are hearing it directly from the horse mouth. Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Deepa.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the next question is, what are the skills required to survive in the corporate world? That's a question from Chirag.
Like I said, I'm going to have to repeat myself over and over and over again, right? Whatever skills are required for your job profile, those are table stakes. You got to have it, right? Oh, over and above that, the other skills that are really, really critical, I could just go about those skills and you can look at how you build, right? You need to be able to negotiate well. You need to be able to communicate well. Presentation is form of communication, right? You need to be able to do your work, but you need to be able to speak intelligently about the work that you do, right? So that's where, communication comes in, right? And then you need to be able to network with people, right? So there is networking skills. You need to be able to collaborate. You need to be able to be a team player, right? You need to be, when you are in what will make you successful or what will get you to leadership roles is leadership is a huge responsibility, right? The minute you become a leader, you need to understand it's not about you. It's about everything else other than you, right? And you are unfit to be a leader if you cannot put others above yourself. So therefore, whenever you go to work in a company, always remember the company comes first. Your org or your team comes next, and you come the last. The minute you understand this hierarchy and you're able to work through it, you're bound to be successful. The minute this equation changes and you put yourself above everything else, that is a recipe for disaster, right? So therefore, for you to do well and survive in the corporate world, be humble, right? Be willing to learn. Know that you don't know it all, right? Know that it's a journey, right? We all have, 30, 40, 50 years of career ahead of us. No pension is going to come to any one of us anytime in our foreseeable future. So therefore, you got to be working to take care of yourself, right? 50 years is a long journey. Do you want to enjoy this journey? Or do you want to burn out fast? Right? My recommendation would be to enjoy your 50 years. It's a really long time, right? It would be good to have some friends. It would be good to have people who will travel with you, right? So therefore, today's corporate world is very, very much like your family. So make sure, of course, you will be changing companies. Of course, you will be doing different things, moving roles, moving cities, all that encompassing, it's still a journey. You need to travel with people. So therefore, it's imperative that you make a conscious decision that you don't want to, burn out in the process. All that you need is a lot of good people surrounding you, as you navigate, through this 50 years of your career journey.
That's a very, very valuable input. Today, we live in a world where we only talk about more self-centric, and today's generation is being more of self-centric and self-love, and they forget to understand, you need to have a higher purpose. You need to have higher goals. I mean, you beautifully said organization. Then, I mean, that hierarchy was really, really good. Thank you so much. It's really amazing. So,
sure.
Yeah, we have next. Deepa ma'am, could you please share the journey, how you achieved your success and how you become the director of Target? Maybe they want a lot of inputs on how did you do that?
Well, like I said, right, I have never chased, I have chased experiences. I have wanted exposure and experience, right? I have never chased job titles in my career, right? I've done a lot of different things because I didn't want my resume to be a single sentence, right? So every 18 months, I have changed my job. Consciously, I've done something different that I've never done before. And this was by choice, right? I knew, see, if had I stayed in the same job for a long time, my career may have grown much, much faster. But it was a conscious decision on my part to do things different. Again, same reason. 50 years I'm going to be in this industry. I don't want to end up doing the same thing or knowing a single thing, right? So learning, unlearning, relearning, right? These were three things that were very important for me. Success came looking for me. Right. And, as a woman in technology, especially, exposure to infrastructure, you can count the number of women in India who can do what I do. Right. So there is always a company that would want me to be part of their organization. Right. But it's always been my choice and my decision to say where I want to be and who I want to be with. Right. There are bigger titles that come my way all the time. But it's always about the culture of the organization that I want to be a part of, the kind of people and how the company treats people, the leader who I work with, which have always been more important to me than anything else. And so therefore, how you achieve success? Success comes looking for you. What you got to do is be diligent and be honest and true to what you are doing. Find passion. There is a larger purpose that you need to be able to define for yourself at some point of time. You cannot start your career journey saying, this is the large purpose that I want, but things start unfolding and you will get clarity on it. So marry your passion to that purpose and your journey becomes that much more easier as you go through.
Nice, amazing. So next question is that you completed your UG here and studied business in Canada. So what's the difference you saw from the Indian college system and versus the Canadian college?
College, significant, huge, right? Again, I had studied in what was considered one of the best engineering colleges at that time. Right, RV Engineering College was a fairly popular college even then. And Laurier University, again, a very, very, very popular college in Canada. So, two good colleges. And so I think I can compare. Very, very, very big difference. Then, right, now I know, 25 years later, colleges in India are also transforming themselves in terms of how they are working through. There's a lot of autonomy that the colleges can take in terms of, how they develop their curriculum and how students, the exposure that you get, all of that. But, when I graduated, or rather when I was graduating, I remember there were 4 colleges that used to come for campus recruitment. Kirloskar was one. Actually, none of them, I don't believe any of them exist today, right? There was some paper mills that came. There was, Kirloskar that came. TCS, of course, still exists, which is good. There were like 4 companies that came for campus interviews, right? That was also a time where I remember there were at least one company that said women don't apply. Right. Today we have come so far from all of that. But from what's different between India and Canada, the difference is here it is very, very skill-based, lack of better word, training that you go through. So right now I'm in Canada, right? So it is my early in the day for me. I've been traveling back to India next week. My daughter is starting her undergrad in pre-med. So I'm here to help her get through her university, and she is all settled, and I'm coming back next week. And she was very, very, firm that she wanted to study outside the country, right? And that is why I'm here. Now, that's one of the differences is it's skill-based, right? In the 4 weeks that my daughter has been in her university, she's already, doing work, right? Because that is one of the prerequisites, as she started her school. So I guess it's about that, an early exposure to knowing what really happens the day you get to work and start working. is what is different between Canada and India. India still is very theoretical based training and knowledge, whereas here it's more practical in nature, which is better. More than calling it, this is good, this is bad. I think when corporates, look for people, they are predominantly looking for people with some sort of a skill set, which is fairly, it's fairly unfair, because most colleges don't offer that, and yet corporates go thinking that people from first year already have those experience, which is pretty unfair. It's always a chicken and the egg, right? Wherein students are like, give me the job and I will prove it to you, and corporates are like, dude, can you prove what you can bring to the table, and then I'll offer you a job. Pretty unfair, but it is what it is. And I hope over a period of time, that can change, wherein colleges can bring in that flavor of experience-based coaching, experience-based training into their curriculum, which will help the students to gain some hands-on experience before they go out to the corporate world.
Right. As an HR, I totally connect with you on the chicken and egg story comparison. I mean, sometimes the managers come back and say, hey, I want the experienced people. And then, freshers, sorry, give me a job. I totally connect with it. I mean, from Disciple Schools, day before yesterday, we'd been to a lot of education fairs and things like that. We see a lot of technology coming up, immersive technologies and IoTs and artificial intelligence coming into the education system. We're really amazed with the kind of transformation that India is going through now. I mean, the kind of changes that is coming in with the help of the technologies and the corporates like TCS and Microsoft, and a lot of people coming in. That's so amazing. And I also connect with that. There was a time when you said, preferably no women. Today we put in all the ads, preferably women candidates.
Women,
so,
yes.
lot of transformation that is happening. Right.
Yes.
Right. And the same, I think Mr. Mukesh has another question. What do you want it to be implemented in the Indian college system or a study system?
Same, right? Skill-based education, skill-based training. Right. I guess every one of us here has a responsibility. One of the things is, I think we will have to stop saying colleges will do it, right? Each of you has graduated from an institution. So once you do that, what have you done to that institution once you've graduated? Have you washed your hands off, right? I mean, in your cases, probably most of you are still in the university, but the minute you get out, the minute you're there in the corporate world, right, you all have a responsibility towards people, right? So, I believed that I had a responsibility towards women, right, who were not represented 15 years back in the industry that I was in, right? I believed I had a responsibility towards the college that I graduated from, which is RVC, right? I went back to RV and I keep going back to RV to do what I can, right? So if each one of us lent a helping hand to the places, where your schools, your colleges, wherever you studied, right? Be the change that you believe should have happened for you, right? So be there to give some time to all these places where you've learned something from, so that you can help all the generations that come after you to become more relevant as they come out, right? So it's not the job of somebody else, it's a job of every one of us sitting here. And, so how will the change happen? The change happens when you become the implementer of that change. So my recommendation and my ask of each one of you would be to be that person who can lend a hand in incorporating the change in your ecosystems.
Yeah. Sometimes, when we try attempting that, there are some colleges, especially government-supported college, or some colleges, they don't come and take forward that support. In fact, they step back because there are some holdings and there are some reservations that they have, and they don't step forward. So we've seen that too. So
as well. Yeah. Yeah, I would, but I, one of the things that I see, Muthu, is, if their own students went back to them, maybe they will be more receptive to taking help from them, right? People who have graduated from their college, right? Teachers who know the students, right? Of course, there is going to be, red taping in some of those places for obvious reasons, but it can all come through with people who they know better than they would, somebody else who is going there.
Right. I don't want to name a college. I had been to the head of the department. I said, I've built a technology. Probably this will help your college to become better. So I think you should implement this. Yeah, no, don't bring in this again. There's a lot of, we will have a lot of work to do. And there are some reservations that they have. And then it's a two-way process. I mean, they should also be able to accept and, start implementing things. Change won't happen until unless they are willing to do that.
Yeah, and change, so like you said, right? You have made an effort to do it. It takes that one person sitting there to be able to take that leap of faith, come forward and do it, right? If not this person, whoever comes next, hopefully can do that. But, we will all have to, participate in this, in this, right? And yeah.
I think if any professors and principals are here around, please do make sure you utilize. That's an amazing tips. Your students will always come back after hearing this. You should be able to accept and receive it, and then probably that will be helpful for your college, probably. All right. So the next question is that any suggestion to improve our confidence level, Anusha?
I would, I would love to understand what that means, better. But if you're talking about, see, one of the first things that brings in confidence is if you know the area of your work better and you are able to communicate well, right? One of the things that I see, which a biggest inhibitor in confidence is your ability to speak English language in the corporate today, right? If you're not able to speak English language fluently, I think you tend to hold back. By the way, I studied in a place wherein we studied, I am from a defense background. My father, was transferred every few years. So we went to so many different places. So I'm a student of Kedriya Vidyalaya, wherein we predominantly studied in Hindi. Right, my social science was in Hindi, my science was in Hindi, and except Hindi, I had learned nothing. Right, but that doesn't stop you from developing another language. In fact, knowing more languages is better than not knowing any language. Despite this, majority of my corporate meetings I conduct in local languages, Tamil, Kannada, name it. Right. By the way, I can speak 8-10 languages, which is a different thing, because of how I traveled around and what I picked up. Now, having said that, it's very imperative, as long as you're in corporate world, it's imperative that you're able to fluently speak at least one language well. Definitely English is one of those. So, make sure that you get a good grab of this language. It's a corporate language, right? So to survive in a corporate, it's important for you to be able to speak well. Right? And that will build your confidence. Second is know your subject really well. And always prepare before you go for any discussion, any meeting, right? Impromptu is great, but not in a corporate world. So when you're prepared, when you have the right language, under your belt, and you know your subject well, you have it. Where is a place for lack of confidence when all three are with you? So the best way to learn speaking skills is take up anything, a newspaper, a magazine, a book that you're not familiar with. Stand in front of the mirror every day for 15 minutes and read loud. In 3 months, your language skills will develop leaps and bounds. That is all you need to do is 15 minutes in front of the mirror, reading any literature that is in front of you. that alone is enough to improve your English skills.
Right, great. So the next question is Acceleration Academy is asking, how are you using your strengths in your current role?
My strengths are grooming people. My strengths are developing people. My strengths are large-scale transformation. So what skills of mine am I using for all of that is the same thing. Okay, so collaboration, influencing, right? My ability to learn, unlearn, right, and being very confident about what I know and what I don't, and have no inhibitions when I have to walk up to somebody and say, I don't know this, walk me through it or help me understand it. Very rarely have I come across, actually never have I come across a situation wherein somebody has said, oh, I won't tell you or I can't tell you, right? People are so much more willing to go out of their way to help you understand something when you go and reach out to them. So just being me, that's it. I just take myself to work exactly the way I am. So there is no, I don't dress up to work, in the sense there is no uniform that I wear to work. I'm not a different person at work. I'm exactly the same person that you would see me outside.
Absolutely. Right. Awesome. So the next question is, what are the problems you faced when you entered the corporate world? Chirag asked this question.
Okay. So Chirag, I entered the industry at a time where women were not welcome in the industry, right? So I remember I would be in conference rooms with so many men. I would be this one woman, half their height, sitting in these meetings, and everybody would keep talking, and then I would I would struggle to say something. I wanted to say something, but everybody is talking, and then I started putting my hand up and saying something, and they would listen to me, and then they would again start talking as if I was not there in the in that table at all, right? From there to building credibility, wherein people look up and say, Deepa, do you have something to say, was a journey that I had to take, right? So for that, I had to, it was not an easy journey, right? It was very easy to give up and run away. Every one of those situations, you're like, oh my God, I'm being ignored, right? I mean, people don't even look up to me as somebody who has something valuable to add, right? It was not an easy journey, but you keep at it, right? And people eventually, came around because they know that you have something to offer. It was even more difficult because, my first job that I got in was even more challenging, right? You get in with no experience. Now you're trying to build experience on one side. Then on the other side, you're trying to work through this whole gender issue, ethnicity issue. I had more issues than you guys will when you enter the corporate world today in India, right? But there are several others who have gone through this and come out in flying colors. And that's the only thing that kept you going, saying that, yeah, if somebody else can do it, why can't you do it, right? So you can do it and you keep at it. So yeah, the problems and the challenges were to make myself relevant, right? And for you to be relevant, you need to be able to offer something in terms of the skills that you bring, offer something in terms of how you are able to help somebody else through the process, and be sincere to the work that you do.
Awesome. Great. So next question is that Sandhya has asked, and what qualities should we improve to become a leader? She's from Delhi.
Oh, okay. So Sandhya, leadership is not a title, right? Leadership is what you take on. Can we mute? Is there a way to mute Vidya? Okay, I think I did it. Okay. So therefore, leadership, like I said, it's a triad, right? And what are the qualities of a leader? A quality of a leader is when you are able to stand up, you are a leader only when you have followers, right? Very, very simple, right? Who is a leader? A leader is somebody that trusts, there is at least, a two people who are willing to follow you, right? And leadership skills you develop right from your school days. You develop that at home, right? I mean, all these are great places, right? If you have two people in school who are willing to follow you, you are automatically a leader, right? So so how do you improve the qualities is understanding that as a leader, you put your team first. What do you do for your team? How do you stand up for them, right? When is it you step forward and when is it you step back, right? As a leader, you need to know when is it you're required to lead from the front, and when is it you need to kind of take a back seat and let rest of your team shine, right? So these are the qualities that are not just prevalent or not just applicable within corporate life. These are qualities that are applicable everywhere else, right? Your title, your growth, your leadership titles. I know India is crazy about the manager title, right? So these things will happen, but great to you can be a person with a title, not necessarily a leader, right? And you can be a leader without a title as well. Right. So if you're in your first year MBA, my focus would be on developing those leadership skills, which will help you, get those titles later. Right. But leadership is more than just titles.
Great. Awesome. Like you said, leadership is not a title. It's a responsibility. It
is. Yeah.
Beautifully said. Great. So then you have Yuvraj asking, ma'am, if you want to change something in education system, what will you?
I think we answered this question, right? We took it up. If I could change one thing in the education system, that would be skill-based training, right? More of corporate engagement within the within the academia, right? You have more corporates coming in. There is more more things that students can do with corporates even as they are studying, and the partnership between between academia and corporates is what I would love to see change.
Right. I think a lot of questions are repetitive in nature. Maybe they're asking questions differently. Do you think? Okay. Before that, there's one more question. Ma'am, out of academic MBA, what we should add as an additional qualities to face the corporate challenges?
Same things. Now I will start asking Nanda what the same question, saying what additional qualities, actually all of the soft skills, Nanda, start working on that. And again, it can't be, one training that you attend and you can't say, yes, I attended this training and therefore, there's a tick mark, therefore I attended a training on negotiation skills, so I can negotiate. It really doesn't work that way, right? What you really need to do is start putting that in practice. And any one of those soft skills, can be put in practice outside of corporate life before you go to corporate life. Right? If you've gone to a negotiation skills training, try doing it with a child at home, right? Amazing, how they can get their way out, right? So, you can start right there. So therefore, any soft skill is going to take a long way to help you through your career journey. So, therefore, not just attending the training, but putting it in practice becomes important. Rather than doing a 10-day course back to back on all the soft skills, it would be great for you to do one session, put it in practice, take another session, build on it, right? Put that in practice. And you will have to, it's only practice that will make you, it'll help you evolve right? I won't say it'll make you perfect, but none of the soft skills, hard skills, yes, you want to go for a Java training, you want to do a training on accounting, you can do that. That's a skill that you can build. But soft skills, they really, really are not something that you can develop within a classroom session, right? And these are the additional qualities that you will need to be able to face a corporate, right? What happens when things don't go well, right? So you need to know how to bounce back, right? That's a skill that you need to know. You need to know that, whatever 20, 40 years are not going to all be looking great. One day doesn't look the same as the next day here, right? So how do you navigate through it? How do you become resilient? How do you have that grit? Right? All these are amazing things for you to know, learn, and inculcate.
Right. A lot of questions coming up. Great. So next question is Dr. Sandhya is asking, do you think women face more challenges in their career compared to men, or is it because they are less professional?
Women are less professional than men? Okay, this is the first time I'm hearing that. Okay, so maybe that's not exactly what you meant. So do you think women face challenges in their career, madam, right, compared to men? The answer is they face different kind of challenges when compared to men. Both men and women face, there has been a lot of talk about glass ceiling, in the last 15 years. Right? Is there a glass ceiling? In fact, if anything, today, I think this is a great time for women to be in the industry, right? Diversity, gender diversity is hitting its peak. Everybody wants to hire women. If you're women, you're at a great advantage. In fact, I would have rather said a man asked this question saying, are men at a disadvantage, being in industry today? Right, because women are welcomed with open arms today in the industry. There's a great time. But there are certainly different kind of challenges that women face, right? One of the advices that I got as I was from one of my mentors was CIO of ANZ Bank, and she had once told me, Deepa, to be at par with a man, you have to be, you need to be doing twice as much as work in half the time and not complain about it, right? But that has changed today. You don't have to do any of that, right? But like I said, right, there are challenges are real based on the industry that you are in. Challenges are there for both men and women. And I think it's also time for us to stop playing that, that gender card. I'm a woman, therefore I won't be able to. It's not valid anymore. It's not even relevant anymore in this industry. Challenges are always going to be there, and challenges are good, by the way, right? It's not a bad word at all, right? But what you really need to know is how you navigate through that, and raise above all of that and become successful, right? So, I am sorry to bust your myth and say that, women have more challenges than men. The reality is, everybody has the challenges today, and they're all slightly different, right? Women still are, primarily in India considered as people who manage home, right? So you are still having to manage both work and home really well. They talk about equal partnership between men and women at home. I don't know if it's real in all situations. So therefore, you're primarily the person who are doing things at home and you're doing things at work. Does that become a challenge? Why not? Right? But today you also have an option to outsource a lot of that work, right? You can outsource your cooking, you can outsource your cleaning, you can outsource a lot of things, right? Or you can try to be the superwoman who does everything. Okay. So I will tell you, right? Me personally, right? I never outsourced my kitchen because I wanted to make sure that, every meal was cooked by me, because I knew sooner or later my daughter was going to leave home. And I said, the only thing that she'll remember is my mother's cooking. So I didn't want to give up that, right? Her 12th grade, I taught her every subject, right? A teenager sitting with a mother and learning math and science is not common. or a parent sitting and teaching, is not common because you go to coaching institutes today, right? I didn't let that happen. So I was teaching her. And I have my parents who are next door, right? So, and of course, I had a full-time job and I was traveling. Of course, COVID did give that relief to me, but otherwise I was traveling constantly. So therefore, I have managed all of this. And I have managed all of this because I chose to manage it. I could have outsourced any one of those, but I chose not to do that. So therefore, when I compared that to either what my husband was doing or anybody else at work was doing, right, I would say that they had probably much easier days than I did. But this is what I chose to do, and I shouldn't be complaining about the decisions that I have made for myself, right? So will I call it as challenge? I would say it was challenging, but that's it.
Yeah, brilliant. In fact, I do consult for a lot of startups and small, medium-sized companies. I see one of my clients is about almost 90% is a women workforce, and another client is about 47% workforce. Another client is about 63% women workforce. I mean, things have changed. I think people should realize that there is a change that is happening, and they should move forward and stop blaming or probably, stop sitting and talking about it. A living example is you, Deepa. You could have chosen. You decided to have the determination and come up in life, and you did that all by yourself. So I'm sure all of them will get inspired looking at you, talking to you, and then they put it into practice and stop, talking about these challenges and all that, and they step forward and move. I mean, probably keep going forward.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think everyone will, right? I mean, challenges are meant to be a part of it rather than getting scared and worrying about, oh my God, what challenges will I face when I go there? Yes. Just take it up, right? There is nothing that cannot be. And really, don't worry about, women can't grow, men can't grow, everybody can grow, right? It's entirely up to you in terms of, how you're able to take it forward. And there is so much of support system available there to help you navigate through your journey.
Absolutely. Due to time shortage, we will take up last two questions. Maybe I will skip repetitive questions. Let me see what are the other questions that we have. All right. Difficult part of being a leader. Okay, already answered. Different supporting skills answered. Okay. Which specialization has huge demand in corporate world? Because I have lots of confusion. Which is better career?
Okay, again, again, a very, very, very loaded question. So I will tell you, there is so much of hype around artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, data engineering, analytics, right? These are all buzzword in the industry today, right? And then, I was in a campus recruitment drive, earlier this week, and everybody wants to do only this. Right? Everybody is talking about, oh, can I work on artificial intelligence? I mean, seriously, there is so much more in this industry than all of this, right? I mean, yeah, these are all hype words today, right? I mean, it would be nice to be a part of it, but this is not the only thing that is available in the industry, right? What specialization has a huge demand? Nanda, can you identify yourself as are you a business student or are you a technology student? Or are you a professor? I mean, I'm sorry, I don't even know who is who here.
Hello, madam. Most of the students are from business, madam. That is, MBA students are there.
You are, okay, most of them are MBA students. So therefore, when you talk about, therefore, when you talk about specialization, I don't have to get into, coding and non-coding and things like that, right? So, so if you are a business student, right, you're predominantly, maybe you're asking about marketing or finance or HR or, one of those areas. And there is nothing called as a huge demand in any one of those areas because all of them have an equal opportunity, right? In fact, every company needs, business analysts, right? Every company needs those product managers and product owners. And, every company has a flavor of finance and marketing and, human resources and such. So therefore, I wouldn't categorize them as, demand for a specialization. This is where I would say go with what interests you the most. And remember, right, we are in an industry where you can change your career course over a period of time. You can start off in marketing and then switch over to HR, or you can start off in HR and over a period of time, make a conscious decision to move elsewhere. All of this is possible today more than ever before. So therefore, rather than focusing on what specialization is in demand, Nanda, focus on where you believe your interest and passion is. By the way, you can go wrong as well, right? You may choose marketing today and over a period of time realize that is really not where your heart is. You can always, do a course correction and take something else. So therefore, don't worry so much about specialization as it relates to your business degree.
Right. Like you rightly said, it is a bubble that burst the technology where they're talking about, artificial intelligence. And a lot of people get inspired and they just leave everything what they studied so far and they move on to it. I see a lot of people coming up for an interview. They change totally different and they say, because that's what is happening. That's what the trend. I mean, they don't understand what are their strengths, what are they good at. I think they'll have to do a lot of self-analysis, a lot of understanding of self is more important, like you rightly said.
Absolutely. And remember, guys, once again, I'm going to reinforce 50 years is a long time to stay in something that you're not interested in, right? So you may as well, find where your passion is, right? Where your interest is, and spend time there, because when you enjoy what you're doing, that's like being on vacation every single day, right? When you're doing something that doesn't interest you, that's like a punishment every day. Right. But remember, you can always change, right? And your interest may change too. Right. So go with the flow.
Awesome. That's a good advice. One last question that we will take. Okay, I'm skipping this. All right. One interesting question. Tell me about your approach to delegation. Arjun has asked this question.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat it, please?
Tell us about your approach to delegation. Mallikarjun's question.
My approach to delegating work. Okay. How do I answer this question? So, when I have team of, specialists within my organization, right? Therefore, when a piece of work comes to me, right, it's essentially about saying, is this something that I need somebody else, pitching in for it? And if so, who is the best, who can be the best at it? And I would delegate it to them. But I guess more importantly, so let me put it this way, right? When I've had to build or develop, leaders, with or managers within my organization, what I've done is, I identify somebody is ready to take on a leadership role, manage people within the team. Then what I would do is I would start the process about a year and a half before I put them into that role. And I would take them with me, to the meetings that I would go to. I would have them sit through to see how I would run those sessions, or, what kind of questions I would ask, or what kind of data I would look for, right? And then I would start, pushing work to them in those areas as they came up next time, right? So that they would do it. Then I will sit with them and I will review the work that they do. So this is how, for a year and a half, they would shadow me, and see how I make decisions. And that is how I would help them develop the skill, right? When we talk about delegating work, it is not essentially throwing it off the fence and saying, that's yours now, right? But it's essentially partnering with them to make sure that you set them up to be successful as well, right? I hope I've covered it. But I also realize that we are probably running out of time. So I will, back to you, Muthu.
Sure.
But guys, a lot of good questions, and I hope you all got something out of it today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Before we proceed further, may I request all of you to kindly fill in the feedback form, which will be shared in the chat box in a minute, both in YouTube and as well as in Zoom. So may I request all of you to fill in this while we give a couple of feedbacks. May I request all of you to click the link that will be shared and fill the feedback form so that you get your e-certificate for participating here. Every one of you who participated today will get the e-certificate, participation certificate. All right. Okay, so thank you, Ms. Deepa Parthasarathy. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed being an HR for 21 years in the industry. I totally connect with everything that you said. That is what we try to strive every day as an HRs in the organization. And that is really, really fantastic. And I'm sure every participant who participated here, if they've given all their ears and heart to listen to this session, definitely they are going to be the more beneficial people around. And I'm sure if they try to put it in practice, I'm sure they will reach great heights, and you've been the living example for them. And thank you so much for giving us your time and valuable inputs. I'm sure everyone would have loved and put it in practice. Thank you so much, Deepa.
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Yeah, take care. Bye.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Meanwhile, if in case anybody has any questions, you can always put it in chat box. We have our email IDs and we'll try and reach out to her if possible. If in case she's free, she'll be able to answer this.
Sure.
May I request Dr. Geetanjali, the head of the department, to give us the vote of thanks? Dr. Geetanjali, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm there. I'm just trying to. I think my video is not visible. I'm trying to open it.
No problem. No issues.
Right. I'm unable to open my video as such.
No problem. You can.
Yeah. It's just an amazing session what we had today. I'm sure all the participants do agree with me. Yes. Deepa Parthasarathy has beautifully narrated her story and the elevator pitch what she had in her life. She's come up with her varied and diverse experience, sharing some of the great career lessons for all our participants. She's spoken about a lot of career lessons what she has shared with our participants here. The importance of overcoming fear and inhibitions and giving importance to relationships. That's very important. And she also spoke about the importance of cross-functional skills that is required, and how students or anybody for that matter, being in a corporate world, need to be team player. And again, most important aspect of reinventing ourselves. So that is again a very important lesson that we had. And each one of us should continue to focus on our strengths. So a lot of career lessons she has shared. And also many of our participants had a lot of questions on skills, what skills that they would like to have when they enter into corporate world. And some of the skills what Ms. Deepa has shared through her experience, having smart communication, maybe it might be a negotiation skills, networking skills, or team skills, collaboration skills. And she also stressed on the need for speaking English. So that's again very important, apart from having technical skills and all. And she touched upon most important skills that is required, the willingness to learn. She quoted the famous quote, need for learning, unlearning, and relearning. So that's very important. So we all need to have that willingness to learn, and having the being diligent, being honest, and being humble, most important, right? So again, all these are very important skills that students need to have apart from their technical skills. So she has focused on various skills that the students require. And the beautiful concept of the hierarchy, what she explained, organization comes first, team comes next and the leader comes last. So that's very, very important. And I think that leads to a success of any leader as such. So that's very nice to hear from Ms. Deepa. And having said that, each one of us should think about having a larger purpose of life. So that's the most important thing what she has again touched upon. So it's I'm very glad and privileged to thank Ms. Deepa for being the speaker for today and sharing her beautiful experience with our participants, with our students, staff, and all the participants. It's also my privilege to thank Dr. Sandhya from Disciples India Learning Forum for associating with us in organizing this event. Thank you so much, madam. And I would like to thank Mr. Shiv Prasad, who coordinated for smooth functioning of this session. And definitely would like to thank Mr. Muthukumar also for hosting such an interactive session. We really enjoyed. We did not realize how time flew. There were so many questions coming up, and you took up each and every question. Thank you so much, Mr. Muthukumar. Also thank Dr. Lokesh, Associate Professor from the Department of MBA, Nagarjuna College of Engineering Technology, for introducing the speaker and about sharing about the college. And definitely, I would like to thank each and every participants, the faculties and students who have been part of this program, who have joined through Zoom link as well as through YouTube link. Thank you one and all wonderful participants for having so many questions, keeping the session very lively. Thanks to each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Over to you, Muthukumar sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Geetanjali. That was very nice.
And also, Sir Muthukumar sir, and also I would like to thank our beloved principal, Dr. B. Ravishankar, to helping us to organize this guest lecture. And also I would like to thank our HOD, Dr. Geetanjali, for allowing us to organize this program. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. As a process, at the end, we play a national anthem. So we request all of us to switch off the video and stand while we play the national anthem as a respect. Yeah. So I will play that now for a moment.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. All right. So okay, if for those of you who wants to connect with us, or you can also visit us on disciples.in. And, probably we will share all our images in the Facebook. You can follow us, like us, share us on our Facebook. If in case you wanted to become a member of Disciples India group, you can reach out to Dr. Sandhya, or you can reach out to me, or Mr. Parthos, or Mr. Satish, or Mr. Shiv Prasad, or Mr. Akhilesh, any of us. I will leave the screen for about next 10 seconds. Those of you who wants to make a note of the number, you can make a note of it or probably screenshot it. Then we will end the session. Yeah.
They can take the screenshot also, sir.
Yeah. You can take a screenshot, no issues. All right. Thank you so much. We thoroughly enjoyed, the session. Thank you everyone who participated today, the college and the students, teachers, professors, the principal who've been instrumental in making this happen. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.